Hello everyone, this is Julia from the Macedon Public Library. I've got some more recipes today that I'm going to share with you, some copycats that are things that are popular treats from the Disney parks. So we will get started. The first one, and these are things that I recorded in advance, the first one is churros. They're actually churro bites, so they're not like the large size churro sticks. I did them smaller so that they're easier to fit in a pan. And then also, so that's a hot thing. And then something cold, we did a Dole Whip, which is like a frozen pineapple. So let me start sharing my screen with the video first. And I didn't get the sound for this. I tried to get it really close into the pan. So I will talk over as we do it. So once again, hey, from experience, we're browning butter. So this time I followed directions exactly, and it said just to brown it for a minute. Not for 5 or 10 minutes, however long I browned it when I made the pasta weeks ago. That seems like it was a long time. So we're going to start with it. It's going to be a total of 4 tablespoons of butter for the recipe, but we start out with half of it. And it looks like I even sped this up a little bit. It was just a little over a minute as long as it took. You can see it's getting brown around the edges. It's getting foamy. And then take it off the heat. Yep, it's all melted. Turn off the heat, add the rest of the butter, and just let it melt just with the residual heat that's already in the pan. So I'm not sure why, but that's what the recipe said, so that's what I did. And then it actually said once all the butter was melted to let it cool completely before you go to the next step. But the next step is to heat it with other ingredients. So I didn't do that. I didn't wait as long as I should have, probably because I figured if it's going to be heating up anyway, I cooled it down so it wasn't actually boiling. But then the next step is to add in a cup of water. Sorry, 2/3 of a cup of water. I'll give you the specifics later. And then 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then a pinch each of salt and cinnamon. So again, that was for the 4 tablespoons of butter, 2/3 cup water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and a pinch of salt and cinnamon. I probably added more cinnamon than a pinch. As that was cooking, once I added the flour, it got quite a bit browner than I was seeing in other pictures. But anyway, it was good. It was cinnamon. So you bring that up to a boil, all of those things. And once it hits the boil, you add 160 grams of flour. So again, I don't know why that one specifically called for weight instead of volume. I did weigh it out because I've got a kitchen scale. It turned out to be a little bit more than just a tad over a cup of flour, and this is just all-purpose flour. And I'm gonna stir and stir and stir. Really thick, really super thick. And I think it said to stir for 3 to 5 minutes. And then once it comes to a ball, which you're kind of seeing it happen now, it starts pulling away from the pan. It becomes a ball. And then at that point, you're still supposed to cook it another 2 to 3 minutes. And this is just like a medium heat, not a high heat. This is just to cook the flour down, I guess. And you can see the cinnamon in the dough, and I guess some of the brown butter too, maybe. It's pretty brown. So that's after all of that cooking, the extra 2 to 3 minutes, and we've got the ball, and you can see it's kind of a little glossy at this point. So that's after you've cooked it 3 to 5, and then the 2 to 3. And now we're going to start adding. You take it off the heat. You let it cool. Okay, this you do let it cool for 10 minutes. You're going to add 2 eggs, 1 egg at a time, and a splash of vanilla. You cool the dough down at this point because when you add the egg, you don't want it to scramble the egg. You want it to actually blend in. But that was just like it's maybe 10 minutes. You just don't want it to be hot enough to cook the egg. And then you could just use your arm. I used my my hand mixer to help mix it in a little bit. And it does break apart and get kind of, not crumbly because it's not dry, it's wet from the egg. That was one egg, and then you do the second egg. You can see it did kind of come together, and it built up in my mixer blades. Second egg. Focus got lost a little bit because it doesn't know if it's focusing on the pan or the mixer. All right, and I didn't have this one go too long because I didn't want it to build up inside the blades again. So I emptied that as much as I could. And then I finished stirring it by hand. So you can see it's still really kind of wet and disjointed. And at this point, it's really thick, it's really sticky and gummy, and it's really hard to stir. Let's see, and I think after adding that, that's about a total of 4 to 5 minutes of stirring. And I wanted to make sure that it showed in the video how really difficult it was to stir this up. Like I'm kind of fighting against the pan. I turn it, yeah, there we go. And like I'm actually holding it to really make sure it's not moving around too much. You just want to make sure the egg is completely incorporated. It's not going to get into a ball stage. It's just very, very sticky, shaggy kind of dough. All right, gather it up. The next step after this is going to be putting it in a piping bag. So if you've seen a churro, they're like donut sticks, but they have like ridges that go along the side. And so I have a large piping bag here, and I got a really big star tip to fit in the bag. This is how sticky and gummy the dough is. It just wouldn't release from the pan. Like, go on, go on. And I have that sitting in a glass to help hold up the piping bag. And meanwhile, there we go, it's out. I have the oil heating in my pan. It doesn't have to be, it's just shallow, it doesn't have to be a whole lot of oil. It's a very big bag. So again, with anything else in a piping bag, you move it down towards the nozzle, you twist it to help hold it. And then once the oil has gotten hot enough, I don't have a thermometer for my oil. I just kind of know by dripping a little bit of something and seeing if it starts to cook. And you squeeze it directly in like I did with the little donut bites. You squeeze it into the hot oil, and then use some kitchen shears to cut it off. I guess you could also just use maybe a knife. It is so thick though that I had to use 2 hands to squeeze the dough to get it in the oil, which then was a little awkward to get the scissor. Wasn't as fast and quick as it was with the donuts. But you can see the star tip, how that makes those ridges. So it gives it that authentic look. It also, in the end, helps hold on the cinnamon sugar, which is how we're going to top it. But this part was kind of fun. And these, you cook for about 2 minutes per side. And that was about right. It made a lot more than 5, by the way. I just started with 5 because then the pan wasn't too full. All right, I sped it up. I was having a conversation with someone recently who said that they don't think they've ever deep fried anything, which probably would have been a whole lot better for my health if I had never deep fried anything. But they said I was brave for having fried things. I've never had a problem with oil. I've never had it explode in my face, or, I mean, I've gotten burns from when bacon pops, when you're frying bacon, but I've never been hurt by frying things. All right, so this is after 2 minutes and then 2 minutes. Drain it on a paper toweling, or however you drain it. It says drain it for a little bit, but not too long, like 10, 15 seconds, which to me is pretty quick. You want to get it in a mixture of cinnamon sugar, and that's just the traditional 1/2 cup of sugar with 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. I probably would have gone with a little bit more cinnamon. And I like cinnamon. You can see how it kind of rollers them into the grooves. And there is my plate full. I think I'm gonna say maybe we ended up with a total of 20 of them. I don't know, they were gone by the end of the day. Okay, so this is the second one. So this is the Dole Whip. And this starts out with a cup of ice cream. I actually used some of the frozen yogurt, and this is 2 cups of frozen pineapple chunks, and 4 ounces of pineapple juice, and again, a little bit of vanilla. Everything uses vanilla. I guess that's why I buy it in a large jar, large bottle. And put the lid on. So this is something where my blender came with a tamper stick, which is what I'm going to have to get now because there's so much frozen things in there, not a lot of liquid. I have the stick that comes with my blender that pushes down on the stuff. If you don't have that with your blender, then you probably just take it off and you know, scrape down the sides every once in a while. You can try and pulse it. I needed a little bit more liquid because it was so frozen. And this is not a, so this isn't a smoothie. This isn't anything you're supposed to drink. This is something you eat with a spoon. And this, I think we made Wednesday, where it was a hotter day. It wasn't as hot as, no, what is today? Today's Thursday. No, we made it Tuesday. So it wasn't as hot as yesterday was, but it was still pretty hot. I'm taking my tamper stick out, showing you the consistency. It's really thick. And I put it in a little jar. Now again, this, they say you can, I think that's it. Oh, there it is, with a little cat spoon. So it is, they say that you can use, once for that Dole Whip, you can put it in a container and freeze it for about 30 minutes if you wanted to, then put it into a piping bag and squeeze it out. You could use the same star tip. If you wanted to make it look pretty, that's kind of, so it's like a soft serve sort of thing. Can you hear me and see me? Okay, all right. So let me go on to the next step, which is the actual details of the recipe. So make it big. There's my end pictures. So this is the full recipe of the churro bite. All of it all together. 4 tablespoons of butter. Start with 2 tablespoons to brown, then add the other 2 tablespoons. Then you let it cool. I don't know. 2/3 of a cup of water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and a pinch of salt and cinnamon. You boil that all together. You add in about a cup of flour, 160 grams. You stir that all in there. You let that cool. You put in 2 eggs, 1 at a time, and a little bit of vanilla. It's going to be very sticky and thick. Put it into a piping bag. I mean, you could put it into a Ziploc bag or something, a plastic bag, and cut the end out. It just wouldn't have the tips, the lines across it. Words are not there for me right now, but it would have a different shape, but it would still taste as good. The dough came out very crispy on the outside, but yet it was kind of, they say kind of, it should be custardy in the middle, I guess, because of the eggs. So the dough should be softer in the middle and crispier on the outside. So that was very nice. And then when you're done frying it, you run it through some cinnamon and sugar. They also suggest you dip it in chocolate sauce. We don't have any chocolate sauce. So there you go. So that is the churros. Let me know when you're ready. You good? Okay. And then the Dole Whip was very easy, very fast, very cold, although because it was a warmer day, it started to melt. If you, in the picture that I showed earlier, you can kind of see that it's starting to melt around the edges. So it was a cup of vanilla ice cream. I used frozen yogurt because I had that from the smoothie recipes the week before. And in fact, at the Disney parks, they serve it dairy-free. So I'm guessing they probably use something like an almond, like a frozen almond milk or soy milk or something like that, so that they don't have to worry about the dairy allergens. So you could do it with that as well, your choice. 2 cups of frozen pineapple chunks, 4 ounces of pineapple juice or more if it's needed to kind of help it blend together, and a splash of vanilla that is optional. You might need to scrape down the sides of the blender while you're making it. Um, you can freeze it for a little bit more if you wanted to pipe it in. I just scooped it in, and again, that was very quick and easy, and um, that was gone pretty quickly. It was a really nice treat though. And the bag that I had to get of pineapple chunks was very big. So I'm sure we'll be doing more of that. And we still have some more of that frozen yogurt. So that is that. That's really what I got. I can hold on to see if there's questions, but that is the end of these Copycat recipes. I'm not sure if we're going to be coming back for more as we start to go back to the library, but it's possible because I did get the Friends grant with a blender and an Instant Pot, so it's possible that I could even be doing some cooking programs through the library, even virtually. So look forward to that. Stay tuned to our website and our YouTube site, and I will end for now. Bye.